The intention behind our immunity sequence is to stimulate our digestive system, lymphatic system, and respiratory system. That way any stagnation that we have can be moved through and processed. Today we'll start in a seated position. You're more than welcome to use props if that helps you have your hips higher than your knees. The idea is that we want our seat to be as easy as possible. If you feel strained at any point, it's probably a good time to use some props. So set up your seat. If cross-legged is easiest for you, or if you'd rather sit on top of your knees, either one is good. And we'll just start with a few deep breaths. Breathe in through your nose and out of your mouth. Again, deep breath in through your nose and out of your mouth. Today we'll start with some seated neck stretches. As you inhale, press your sit bones down into the earth and lengthen the crown of your head up towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, dip your left ear towards your left shoulder. And here, try to keep as straight a spine as possible. The only thing we want curving over here is our neck. So press both of your hip bones down evenly into the earth. As you dip your left ear towards your left shoulder, we'll start with a few circles with our nose. Here, think about drawing as large of circles as you can, as if you're drawing a circle on a chalkboard with your nose. And just start either clockwise or counterclockwise. And just notice any sounds coming from your neck. This is normal. And then switch directions with the circles. You can go as slow or as fast as feels good to you. And inhale, bring your spine back to center, lengthen upwards with the crown of your head. And as you exhale, dip your chin towards your chest and just take a few shakes of your head no. Just loosening up here through the back of our neck. Inhale, lengthen your spine once again, the crown of your head upwards. And as you exhale, dip your right ear towards your right shoulder. Again, try to keep your spine as straight as possible. The only thing we want curving over here is our neck. And again, we'll start to create some small circles with our nose as if we're drawing on a chalkboard in front of us. And you can start to get larger with the circles as it feels good to you. Go as slow or as fast as feels nice in your body. And then switch directions when you feel ready. And with your next inhale, lengthen your spine again up towards the ceiling. And exhale, dip your chin towards your chest and shake your head no. Inhale, come back to seat. And exhale, just press your sit bones down into the earth. Seated cat and cow. As you inhale, press your belly forward and pull your shoulders back. And as you exhale, arch your back towards the back of the room and dip your chin towards your chest so that you feel a little bit of a stretch in the back of your neck. Again, inhale, press your belly forward, pull your shoulders back, lift your chin towards the ceiling. And exhale, arch your back, draw your chin towards your chest. And do this a few times. Just start to find a natural rhythm in your body. Connecting your breath to movement. Inhaling to pull your shoulders back, lift your chin up. And exhale to arch your back, chin towards your chest. Maybe even add a little upward tug underneath your knees. With your next inhale, we'll pause with the seated cow pose, pressing your belly forward, lift your chin up towards the ceiling for a throat stretch. And you might even lift your jaw up towards the ceiling. Start tilting your chin towards either side of the room and just feel this gentle pull on your neck. And then we'll come back to center and dip your chin towards your chest and shake your head no to release any unnecessary tension. Inhale, bring your seat back to center. And exhale, ground in. Inhale, sweep your arms up and overhead. Try to keep your shoulders relaxed into the shoulder sockets. And as you exhale, seated twist towards the right. Bring your right hand behind your spine, left hand to your right knee. Think about keeping your spine as straight and as long as possible with your inhale. And with your exhale, think about twisting and sending your gaze over your shoulder as long as your neck feels okay with this. Now each inhale, lengthen your spine upwards, press down into the floor with your right hand. And as you exhale, turn your gaze over your right shoulder and maybe even put some pressure from your left hand into your right knee. Again, inhale, lengthen. And exhale, twist. Inhale, sweep your arms back up and overhead. And exhale, seated twist to the left, right hand to left knee, left hand behind your spine. Think of using your left arm as a second spine. And as you inhale, lengthen upwards. As you exhale, twist towards the left and gaze over your shoulder. Inhale, lengthen, come out of the twist slightly. And as you exhale, turn your gaze over your shoulder. Inhale, sweep your arms up and overhead. And exhale, return your hands to the earth, and we'll start to find our way into tabletop position. You can move props to the side. If you'd like some extra cushion underneath your knees, maybe put the blanket underneath. Find your way to all fours. Bring your wrists underneath your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips. You can choose to have toes tucked or untucked, whatever feels most comfortable to you. And we'll start with a few rounds of cat and cow. So again, we want our joints stacked, wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. And as you inhale, drop your belly to the floor, lift your chin towards the sky. And exhale, arch your back, round chin towards your chest for cat pose. Inhale, drop your belly, lift your chin, gaze upwards. And exhale, arch your back, draw chin to chest, press your hands down into the floor. Again, inhale, belly down, shoulders back. This time, exhale, tuck your toes, lift your hips, and find your way into your first downward facing dog. We'll pause here for a moment to set up our downward dog in case you're new to it. We always want our hands shoulder width distance, our fingertips spread wide so that we have a large surface area, and ideally, our pointer fingers facing forward. Think about pressing your chest back toward your thighs as your hands press forward into the mat. Try your best to reach your heels towards the earth, but don't be attached if your heels don't touch. We'll take a few breaths here. And with your next inhale, lift your right leg to the sky. Try to keep your hips side by side and your toes facing towards the floor. And as you exhale, step your right foot between your hands. Go ahead and drop your left knee towards the earth and untuck your left toes. You can choose to bring your hands to your thigh for a moment and take a few pulses in and out of your front leg, or just go ahead and sweep your arms up and overhead. Here we want to think about dropping our shoulders away from our ears. Make sure that your right knee is stacked over your right ankle. Press your hips forward and down, and if you don't feel a stretch in the front of your left hip yet, try walking your left knee back a few more inches. Rotate your pinky fingers inwards and your thumbs out. And again, try to relax your shoulders as far away from your ears as you can, while still reaching your arms up and overhead. Take a few breaths here and try to soften through your joints as you stay engaged through your muscles. Sometimes when we go deep into a pose, we start to find tension unnecessarily in the rest of our body. And here we do want a deep stretch and muscular engagement, but we don't want to overexert ourselves to the point of holding tension. Be sure that your breath is steady and deep. With your next exhale, release your hands to the floor for half splits. Here we straighten our right leg, flex our right toes towards shin. And with your next inhale, lengthen your spine, crown of your head extends forward. And as you exhale, draw your nose towards your shin. Inhale, lengthen your spine. And exhale, fold your nose towards your shin. Again, inhale, lengthen. And exhale, fold nose to shin. Inhale, walk your hands to the top of your mat. And step back to downward dog. Pedal your feet out for a moment. Let's pause in downward dog. Just notice the difference between your left and your right hip, your left and your right leg, just for the awareness. Inhale, sweep your left leg up and overhead. And exhale, step your left foot between your hands. Drop your right knee, untuck your right toes. You're welcome to pause here for a moment if you'd like to bring your hand to your left thigh and take a few pulses in and out of your front leg. But again, we want our left knee stacked over left ankle here. Press your hips forward and down. And when you feel ready, inhale, sweep your arms up and overhead. Keep the top of your shoulders relaxed away from your ears. And breathe. Next, inhale, reach a little bit higher. And exhale, bring your hands towards the earth. Hands plant, flex your left toes towards your shin and straighten your left leg for half splits. Draw your nose towards your shin. As you inhale, lengthen your spine, the crown of your head extends forward. And as you exhale, draw your nose towards your shin and create a bit of a compression from your chest towards your thigh. Again, inhale, lengthen the crown of your head upwards. And exhale, fold your nose towards your shin. Inhale, walk your hands to the top of your mat. And exhale, step back to downward dog. Take a moment to pedal your feet out and just notice any difference that you feel in your legs. Inhale, shift forward to high plank. And we'll drop knees to the earth. And slowly lower to the mat. Try your best to keep elbows hugged into your side ribs as you lower. Lower all the way down. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. And we'll start with a low cobra using a little bit of strength in our arms. Inhale, press into the floor, draw your shoulders back. And exhale, slowly return to the earth. Again, inhale to cobra pose, press hands down, keep your elbows hugged in and draw your shoulders back. And exhale, release. This time set up super cobra. Bring your hands a little bit wider. We want our elbows about stacked over wrists, palms off the mat and just fingertips on the floor. We call this cupcake hands. Imagine that there are cupcakes underneath and that you don't want to touch the icing. As you inhale, start to lift your chest up towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, relax your shoulders as far away from your ears as you can. Inhale, lift your chest. And exhale, dip your right shoulder towards the earth and pull your left shoulder up towards the ceiling. Send your gaze past your left shoulder. Breathe here for a moment and try your best to get your right shoulder down towards the earth as you rotate your chest towards the left side of the room. Take a full breath here into your chest and sink in with your exhale. Inhale, bring yourself back to center. And exhale, dip your left shoulder towards the earth. Pull your right shoulder back and gaze over your right shoulder. We'll stay for a few breaths. Breathe as deep as you can into your chest. And as you exhale, deepen your twist. Again, full breath in. And full breath out. Next inhale, come back to center. Lift your chest, shoulders draw back. And exhale, slowly roll down. Bring your hands under your shoulders. Inhale, press yourself up to tabletop. And exhale to downward dog. Inhale, lift your left leg high. Exhale, step between your hands. Set up runner's lunge. Bring your left hand to the inside of your leg. Walk your left foot to the left edge of your mat. And turn your left toes 10 degrees to the left. And start rolling your left knee open to the left side of the room. Again, be sure that your left knee is stacked over your left ankle here, so as not to put any unhealthy pressure into the left kneecap. Walk your right knee back until you feel a stretch in your right hip. You have the option to have your blocks here nearby. In case you have tight hips like I do, we'll want to use the blocks to bring the floor closer to us so that we can lower down to our forearms. Now, this stretch especially can be kind of intense. We want to make sure to not hold any unnecessary tension in our neck, shoulders, or even in our face. So just take a moment to scan your body and notice if you're holding any unnecessary tension, and allow yourself to let go. This pose, unlike many of our other poses, is about surrendering into the pose instead of feeling like we're forcing into it. So think about relaxing your body and allowing your breath and gravity to pull you deeper into the pose instead of feeling like you're pushing deeper into the pose. Take a few deep breaths here. And slowly bring your hands to the blocks or to the earth. Extend your arms. And bring your left hand to your left thigh. Think about rotating your chest towards the left side of the room and maybe even gazing over your left shoulder as long as your neck is not strained. And the option to up level, bend your right knee and draw your right heel towards your glute. You'll feel a quad stretch here and it can be intense. If you can bring your left hand to your right foot, go ahead and do so. But if you can't quite reach it, don't worry. You're always welcome to bring a strap to your foot and take the bind that way. Instead of having hand to foot, it would be strap to foot, and we reach with our hand. Pull your heel in towards your glute for a quad stretch, all the while keeping your left knee dropping open to the left side of the room. Think about rotating your chest towards the back of the room and gazing over your left shoulder. Take a few breaths here. And slowly return your hands to center. Bring your left leg inside of your arms and set up half splits. Straighten your left leg, flex your left toes towards your shin. And we'll hold a little bit longer this time. Option to have hands at blocks if that helps you. And as you inhale, lengthen your spine. Crown of your head extends forward. And as you exhale, draw your nose towards your shin. Again, inhale, lengthen. And exhale, fold. Again, inhale, lengthen. And exhale, fold. Inhale, walk your hands to the top of your mat. And exhale, step back to downward dog. And just take a moment to shake out your leg. And again, notice the difference between your left and your right leg. Inhale, lift your right leg high, toes face the floor. And exhale, step your right foot between your hands. Drop your left knee, untuck your left toes. And we want as long of a lunge as possible here without adding any strain to the rest of our body. So we do want a deep stretch in the front of the left hip, maybe even into the back of our right. Bring your right arm inside of your right leg. Walk your right foot to the right edge of the mat. Turn your right toes 10 degrees to the right, and then roll your knee open to the right side of the room. Again, you can choose to have hands at blocks. The nice thing about the blocks is that you have the low, medium, or high setting. Bring your forearms to the blocks, or you can stay lifted up to your hands if that feels better. Again, think about melting your hips towards the earth and letting gravity do the work. Using as little effort muscularly as possible, and just letting yourself sink into the stretch. Take a few deep breaths here. And then when you feel ready, we'll set ourselves up for the twist. Bring your left forearm to the block, or you can even raise to your left hand and extend your arm. We'll bring our right hand to right thigh for a moment, and think about pressing into your thigh to rotate your chest towards the back of the room. Hips still pressing forward and down. You have the option to modify. Draw your left heel towards your left glute, and reach back with your right hand for the outside of your foot. Make sure to grab from the pinky edge of your foot, that way your shoulder rolls open. And we'll stay here for a few breaths. Again, try not to hold any tension in your eyebrows or your jaw. And just breathe. When you feel ready, raise up to your hands. Bring your right leg inside of your arms. Straighten your right leg for half splits. Bring your hands to your blocks. And as you inhale, lengthen your spine forward. And as you exhale, fold your nose towards your shin. Again, inhale, lengthen. And exhale, fold. Lengthen. And fold. This whole time, we want to keep our toes flexed towards shin just to get a deeper stretch in the back of the leg. Hold as long as feels right to you. And walk your hands forward. We'll step back to downward dog. Take a moment to pedal your legs out. Release any unnecessary tension. Inhale, shift forward to high plank. Lower all the way to the earth. We'll go through a quick flow of Cobra. Inhale, press your hands into the floor, pull your shoulders back, gaze forward. We'll hold for a breath or two. And then slowly find your way back to child's pose. We'll move back to downward dog, pedal your feet, press your chest back towards your thighs, and take a few breaths here. We're now setting up for supported frog. It's recommended that we have our blanket to support our knees, or if you'd rather roll up your mat like a burrito, go for that. But make sure that you have enough cushion underneath your knees so that you're not going to have any pressure or any pain. We have a few options here. If you have blocks, you can have supported fish. Be sure that your toes are facing the sides of the room. We want a right angle with our knees and a right angle with our ankles. Bring your chest towards the blocks and then sink down. Now the blocks are just for extra support. You certainly don't need them. And we want our neck to be supported, so you can stack your fists or even bring a block underneath your forehead. Do your best to relax towards the earth here. Again, we don't want to use any force, but instead just allow breath, gravity, and time to do the work. If you don't feel a stretch yet, try bringing your knees a little bit wider. If you start to feel any unnecessary pain in your knees, try your best to have as much support and as much cushion underneath as possible. The idea behind frog pose and any passive, long-held pose is that we want our muscles to disengage. That way our connective tissue, our tendons, ligaments, bones, and joints can start to see some motion. But often it takes time for our muscles to disengage and for our connective tissue to see that motion. So hold for at least a minute here in frog, maybe even up to 5 minutes. There is no great way to move out of this pose. You can choose to move forward to your belly, or you can choose to sit back into child's pose. But just take whatever motion feels the most natural in your body to get out of this pose, and just allow yourself a moment before moving out to feel the difference in your hips. We'll find embryo pose. Bring your knees and your feet together. Let your hands rest by your hips with your palms facing up, and allow your forehead to rest on the mat or a block. Breathe in the space between your shoulder blades. Next, we'll set up supported fish. We'll want 2 blocks here. One block will support our head. One block will go between our shoulder blades. And you have the option to put the blanket on top of the vertical block. So we want to set up the blocks in the shape of a T. Option to throw the blanket on top of the block for a little extra cushion. The idea behind this pose is we want support right between our shoulder blades, right where the back of your heart would be. And if this is your first time finding supported fish, it's wise to try a few variations. But we want the top of the block about 2 inches lower than the top of our shoulders. This is a gentle heart opener. And the block that supports our head can be at the lowest or the medium or highest setting. Choose whatever feels best to you. The higher that the block is underneath your head, the more support that you'll have. If you don't feel much of a stretch, try bringing your block to a lower setting or even removing the block from underneath our head altogether. And just breathe here for a few breaths. Just like our frog pose, we want to relax as much as we can within our muscles. That way our ribs can expand, our shoulder blades can begin to drop back, and our heart and chest begins to open. This pose is especially good if you spend time behind a desk or driving, kind of any hunched over shape. This helps counteract all of that hunching. We'll breathe here for a bit. And again, hold this pose as long as feels right to you. Ideally, about 60 seconds. It might help to breathe up into your chest to feel a little bit deeper of a stretch. And when you feel ready to move out, start bringing gentle movement into your fingertips and toes. Bring your hands by your hips and try your best to sit completely upright. Press your hands into the floor to sit up. Try not to tilt side to side. And then just take a moment to sit up and notice any difference that you feel in your chest. And we'll go ahead and move props off to the side and set up for our final pose, Shavasana. We want Shavasana to be as comfortable as possible. That way we can relax and absorb the benefits of our practice. Much like when we sleep at night, we want for our sleeping position to be as comfortable as possible. So we want the same here for Shavasana. If it helps to have a blanket under your head or to even cover up your body so that you stay warm, sometimes having support underneath the knees can help your lower back relax. Hold for at least 5 minutes. When you feel ready, start to find gentle movement into your fingertips and toes, into your hands and feet, arms and legs. And with your next inhale, take a stretch for the front and back of the room. Toes point to the front, fingertips point to the back. And exhale, hug your knees into your chest. Roll to fetal position on the right side of your body. Allow your right arm to act as a pillow. And just take a few deep breaths here. Think about allowing your mind and your body to reset with each exhale. Find your way into a comfortable seat. Again, if it feels right to prop your hips up to make this seat as comfortable as possible, go ahead and do so. In yoga, we call this easy seated position because we want it to be easy. If you feel any strain, it is time to use some props or maybe even sit in a chair. The idea behind our physical yoga practice is that it gives us ease in our body so that we can find just a moment of awareness or even some time for meditation if that feels right to you. Just take a moment to notice any differences that you feel in your body or in your mind, and to appreciate any stillness or contentment that you feel within yourself. With your next inhale, sweep your arms up and overhead. And draw your hands to heart center. Take a moment to thank yourself for creating time and space for your practice today. In gratitude, we bow to ourselves. Namaste.